Hey out there Akronites, welcome once again to Around Akron with Blue Green. Now on this episode, we're going to do a little reflection. That's right, a little reflection on the first 2 seasons. I was able to tell almost 100 stories, and they were some amazing ones. I often get asked, what was the most successful story on the stories you've told? What's the most historically significant story you've told? What's your favorite story you've told? And has there been any success stories from the people that you've told stories about? We're going to cover all of that and much more on this episode of Around Akron with Blue Green. Now to kick this show off, we're going to cover some success stories here in Akron. Some of the people that I've had the pleasure to sit down with have done some amazing things. Like Evan from Peaceful Fruits. He's been on the Shark Tank and they've expanded their whole line. 7th Floor Clothing, you can find them all over the country right now on all kinds of magazine ads and newspaper ads, and they're selling on eBay. And that Interbelt National Forest, well guess what? It's a permanent fixture. Let's go see what these 3 stories are all about.
Peaceful Fruits makes fruit snacks that are actually made from fruit. And that's really looking at the way that our society is changing, where people want food that's actually made from food. If you flip over, the fruit gummies or the fruit snacks or a lot of these things that we're feeding to kids these days and for the last 50 years, literally the first ingredient is corn syrup. The second ingredient may also be corn syrup. I mean, literally the closest thing to strawberry that they'll have in some of these snacks is the red 40 that makes it look strawberry colored. So what we do is we offer a snack where it's literally just 3 or 4 ingredients. They're all fruit. You can understand them, you can pronounce them, and it's a good healthy snack because there's none of those stabilizers, there's no added sugar, there's no chemical processing or weird mad science. It's just whole organic fruits blended up and then slow dried, so you can really enjoy it with peace of mind, where you don't have to worry about what GMO, what additives, what weird stuff they have in there. It's just good Mother Nature fruit. As an entrepreneur, you have to look for the people that are gonna disagree with you, and then you have to stay strong. You have to realize what you can take from that and what you have to let go. Because sometimes if they don't get what you're about, that means that you need to think a little bit harder. But 95% of the time, it's because they're not in your target market. You're not in their target market, and that means they haven't thought about the problem in the right way. They haven't thought about the solution in the right way, and that should be encouraging too, because that means you've got something. You've got some secret. You've got some secret sauce that once the world gets it, you're gonna have something great that you can really scale up.
The hat. This is the most famous hat sold around the world to this day. Currently, we had some help from another Akronite, LeBron James. He wore our hat, and ever since then we have took new heights in business and in whatever you could think of. And this hat sold literally all around the world. When we're sleeping, this hat's selling. We can't be any more happier about that. But the hat was an idea that our business partner Preston came up with, and we merged and we brought it to life. And man, sky's the limit.
So it just went from us being a fan, just like how we're a fan of LeBron, doing something, and it actually turned into business. So that was pretty cool. Yeah, for the kid that's drawing, that's just dreaming about taking their artwork to the next level, I say just keep going. Don't get discouraged. And if it's something you like to do and it's something you're good at, just keep pushing, and it's gonna happen. Eventually, things will fall into place, and you might have loved ones that's even close to you that they might doubt what you're doing, or they might try to discourage you, but you just gotta keep it in your mind that you're gonna be successful. And you always gotta pray. Just gotta make sure you pray every day. And that's one of the main things we do every day. We say a prayer before we even get started working. And that's been one of the keys to our success.
When the grant was written, it was written as a temporary project, so for the months of August and September. And then the understanding was that we would remove all of the things that we've put here after the end of September. And the trees, the plants, everything like that is planning to be like rehomed into new places. Individuals, organizations, businesses in the community are free to have them. But our ultimate goal would be to not have to take down this space. This is city land, so we are hoping that the city sees it as enough of an asset to keep here for future use so that we don't have to tear it apart. And when we look at it, and when I talk to the engineers, when I talk to the architects, the landscape architects, the bigwigs in Akron, they see the potential as enormous. Akron has over a mile of soon-to-be vacant freeway that is worthy of making national news. Akron could be the best small city in America just based on what we do with the Inner Belt. And I think that's why Akron.
And on the first 2 seasons, I got to tell some great history stories as well. Some of my favorites have been The Rubber Duck, the story of jazz music on Howard Street, and the story of Mr. Waters and Waters Park up in North Hill. Let's go see what these 3 stories are all about.
Akron is the birthplace of the rubber ducky. And this is, the rubber ducky was invented by a fellow named Dietrich Rempel. Middle initial G, he called himself DG. So DG Rempel is the father of the rubber ducky. Now, the rubber ducky you might be thinking of is, a Sesame Street design. But in my hand is one of DG Rempel's very first rubber ducks. And he not only invented the manufacturing method to make a hollow-bodied rubber object, but he invented the squeaky. Here's one of Sun Rubber Company's rubber ducks. We know this is a Disney product. This, Sun Rubber had a license to make these. This is to go in the tub, and you put a bar of soap there. So these were the Cadillacs of rubber toys. The Rempel Manufacturing made the finest rubber toys that there has ever been, and they're extremely collectible today. Some of them going on eBay for upwards of $200, $300, $400 a piece. A magical fairy princess appears and teaches him that if he were to make little clay representations of his friends, then she could bring them to life. And that's basically the story. And it's both charming, but it is about his life. And in the end, he's making toys that bring joy to lots of kids.
There were 72 bars that lined Howard Street from downtown all the way up into North Hill. Along with those bars were grocery stores, barber shops, laundromats, and just about anything you needed can be found on Howard Street, as well as hotels, like the Matthews Hotel. During the heyday of jazz music, Akron was a stopover between New York and Chicago. And if you had a big band, it was a lot cheaper to keep them at Akron as opposed to New York or in Chicago. So if musicians like Ella Fitzgerald, Charlie Parker, Count Basie, or Louis Armstrong played in New York, they would send their band members to Akron before they went to Chicago to play the next gig. While staying at the Matthews Hotel in Akron, they could find a place to get their hair cut, get their laundry done, get some food. But eventually, they would head out to those 72 bars and hook up with musicians from bands all over the nation and all over the world for that matter. And not only did the band members play, but the best of the best jazz musicians of all time played on Howard Street. And their spirit still lives on today. And magic was created on Howard Street. Every weekend and weekdays, you would have music coming out of those locations. Special combinations and jams of great musicians that only happened one time, never recorded, and lost to history. The iconic view of the city of Akron, Ohio, overlooking the valley from North Hill, can be found at Waters Park. But not many people know how we were blessed with this view and this amazing park. Frank Hyde Waters was born in 1856 in Farmington, Ohio. He had 3 degrees and attended Yale, 2 in law, and a doctorate in philosophy. And at the age of 31, in 1887, Frank Waters came to the city of Akron, Ohio. In 1888, he was practicing law. In the law firm Waters, Andrus, Wise, Rotzel, and Maxon. And at the time, he was one of the most respected attorneys in the city of Akron. Pretty much everybody knew of Frank Waters. He was well-liked, well-known, he was very wealthy, and he was also very generous. He purchased some land in what is now Waters Park and built a large house overlooking the valley and the young city of Akron. Today, the parking lot by the shuffleboard court is the original footprint of the actual Waters Mansion. And in 2012, the Waters Park Renewal Society, founded by David D. Domenico, they have been working to refurbish and restore the park and bring things back up to the way they used to be. And Olive Street, that runs adjacent to the park, has been renamed Frank Waters Way in his honor. Yet another amazing Akronite who gifted Waters Park to the city of Akron. The next 3 stories have been the most successful stories on social media. These 3 stories have well over 120,000 views just on their own. The story of the bomb shelter, the story of the Rialto Theater, and the story of Springfield Roller Rink. Let's go see what these 3 gems are all about.
Well, the name we like it because it fits with the fact that a period of time that seems to resonate the most with people right now, and maybe we do need to start selling bomb shelters, which we actually do get a call once in a while on, is that it was during the age where a bomb shelter was a common item to purchase, which is like the late 50s and early 60s, especially after the Cuban Missile Crisis. So I think that I don't think it relates to a lot of the younger kids. They just think it's a cool name, a place where you can hide your stuff and protect your stuff, which is also our other sideline to what we do. We save stuff and protect it for the future. But but for the 50 and over crowd, that connection, that's where that fits in. It fits in beautifully with that. So it fits every age group, from kids being experienced for the first time of playing maybe our Pac-Man machine in the hallway, to an 80-year-old who remembers being behind a hand plow in our garden department. I mean, it's just a very interesting experience. It's a museum you can buy everything at, essentially.
The first time I walked in this place, I actually, my brother and I saw vision. But the funny thing is we had a roommate that was living with us at the time. And Nate and I saw this place beforehand. And I remember the first time he walked in here, he said, absolutely not, we are not moving in this place. Because this place was, it was a mess. And a business-minded, savvy person would be like, no, we are not putting any money in investment. But Nate and I did, and we are blessed enough now where we have support from the community and groups and stuff, so it was all worth it, for sure. I remember walking in being like, man, where's this place gonna go? And it's funny because to think of it where it was and back to where it is now, it's just it's been a long road. I mean, I slept on a chair, not a couch, but a chair, for the first couple months, and drink coffee, instead of having a meal. At the same time, we were doing the same what we wanted to do. We didn't have a boss. It was hard, but it was better than having a boss. The Rialto Theater is, again, this space, and the history of this building, 100 years ago, this place was, from what we understand, is built in around 1912. So this is a well over 100-year-old building. When it was first structured, for about 40 years, to I think the mid-50s, this place was called the Rialto Theater. It was a cinema at the time. It wasn't as much music and culture or art as it was for cinema.
We love the business. That's why I'm still in it. When you're having a down day, bad week, whatever, coming in on a Friday night, seeing the kids coming there and having a good time with the smiles on their faces, it just uplifts them. And it just gives me the admiration that I need to say, hey, I'm still going to do this, because look what I'm offering these kids. When you come in here, even when you're having a bad day, you come in here and the kids are smiling, having a good time. It's nothing but uplifting. Well, in the early 1900s, the roller rink was used as a dance hall or a pavilion during the heydays, the Roaring 20s. Then after that, it was dormant, and then it was purchased 2 years after World War II and renovated, expanded with the expansion, and the floor put in right around 1948-49, and was converted into a roller rink and has been a roller skating center ever since. It's only been 2 owners since it's been a roller rink since about 1949. I'm a second-generation operator. My mother-in-law and father-in-law, Paul and Rosemary Knights, bought it in 1970. Back in the 80s, we ran 2 roller rinks. In fact, we had 3 roller skating rinks that we were running. And a lot of my repeated business from back then come in and say, hey, Mick, you haven't changed a bit. You just haven't changed a bit. And, but I think it's because of being around the kids for 30-some years. They energize you. They keep you moving.
Now, to wrap this show up are my 3 favorite stories of the first 2 seasons of Around Akron with Blue Green. Now, this is a tough one because honestly, I do love every story that I tell. I'm not gonna lie, it's like choosing my favorite child or pet or something of that nature. But these 3 stories hold a special place in my heart. The first one is Bob Jones' car collection. I got to go see an amazing set of cars. It's phenomenal, and it's here in Akron, Ohio. The next story was the Dragon Dream Team. That was an amazing episode. I got to hang out on the lake on a pontoon boat. We had drones flying around, underwater cameras. It was an amazing episode. And last but not least is the Stan Hewitt history story. I had an amazing time there. I've always loved Stan Hewitt, and if you've never been there, you gotta go check it out. Let's go see what these 3 stories are all about.
My father never owned a car, so I made sure that when I turned 16 there was a car available, and it was an old one, and I had a couple more before I got married, and then I got married and the cars went away except for the ones we were driving. So then after After the three boys came along and they sort of got 2 feet on the ground and the business did the same thing, then I started buying a few cars and a few more and then a few more, and now me and my son are up to 80. I started filling out all the 1930 Fords, and I pretty well completed those years. And then I thought, this is getting sort of boring. People come down here and see the same thing all the time. So I started branching out, and that's why I've got a DeLorean and an Amphicar. That's the one that'll go in water. These cars are mostly all restored cars, and I want to tell you that because I have not restored one of them. I don't have that talent, I don't have that time, and it costs a lot of money. So I buy them done, as I refer to them. The way they look is the way that I bought them.
It's not so much for my hope, but to give others hope. Because I'm a 27-year survivor, you know, so it's kind of like behind me. But for the people that are coming in new, they can see that even at my age, you can be an athlete, you can be strong, and be as healthy as anyone else.
We're a little bit different from a support group because the focus is on the athleticism and the paddling and the camaraderie. I think people see our paddlers and what we've accomplished and the strength that we gain from each other, and that gives people hope. New paddlers are given hope by seeing survivors paddling. Folks that have had a recurrence of breast cancer are given hope because they know that others on the team have faced similar challenges.
20 years ago, breast cancer patients, women, were very limited in what they could do especially after a mastectomy. And so Dr. Donald McKenzie, a sports physician, decided he wanted to prove that women could do something. So he started a dragon boat team in Canada. And I believe they were on the water for about 6 weeks together. And lymphedema is one of the problems that can happen because of lymph nodes being removed and radiation and that type of thing. And it can cause a lot of swelling, painful swelling in the arm. So no one got lymphedema during those 6 weeks, and no one who had lymphedema, had any flare-ups. So it was basically determined by a lot of data that he put together that it was, women could, compete in something like this. And after the 6 weeks, he said, okay, you're done. And the women said, oh, no, we're not. We want to stay in this boat, because they had just become, so in love with it.
Stan Hewitt, there's people who have not visited us before, maybe not Akron locals, think that Stan Hewitt is actually the name of the people that built the house, but Stan Hewitt is based on Old English that means stone quarry. And the reason that name was chosen was because the property that F.A. Cyberling purchased included an old stone quarry. And if you visit the property and walk along the Japanese garden out towards our tea houses and lagoons, that's actually where the stone quarry was originally located. The Cyberling family built the estate. F.A. and Gertrude Cyberling had lived in Akron since the 1880s. They originally lived on East Market Street, and they wanted to move out to the country, get away from kind of that commercial district that was developing. So F.A. Cyberling purchased over 1,000 acres here in what was then Portage Township. This wasn't even part of the city of Akron. They broke ground on the estate in 1912, and it took over 3 years to complete. The family moved in December of 1915. The Seiberling family had 6 children that lived here on the estate at various times in their lives, both as children and adults. The family occupied the home for 40 years, from 1915 to 1955. He wanted it to be a successful city. He gave hundreds of thousands of dollars to various organizations throughout his lifetime to either help underwrite them or to keep them going. And I mean, he's the kind of person I think we all hope to be.
Thank you once again for watching this episode of Around Akron with Blue Green. Now, if you want to send me an email, drop me a line, or just say hey, you can reach me at www.aroundakronwithbluegreen.com, or you can catch me on social media. I'm on Instagram, Twitter, and on Facebook. Thank you, and have an amazing day.